Thank you so much, Sue, and everybody for your wholehearted but silent chanting. Now I would like to introduce today's speaker, who is Zenki Mary Mocine. Alan, are you gonna spotlight Mary, please? I'll go ahead with my introduction as we're working on spotlighting Mary. There she is. Hi, Mary. Mary started her career life as a lawyer. She was a union side labor lawyer from 1971 to 1989. However, in 1988, she caught the Zen bug at a retreat at Green Gulch Farm led by Yvonne Rand, decided to do a 3-month retreat at Green Gulch, and also around that time began sitting at Berkeley Zen Center and formed a teacher-student relationship with Sojun Roshi and the Berkeley Zen Center Sangha, and rotated away from being a lawyer. In 1990, she moved to Tassajara Zen Monastery, where she lived for 4 years. She was ordained as a priest by Sojun Roshi in 1994. Her Dharma name is Ho-Un Zenki, Dharma Cloud Total Joy. She served as the head student, or Shuso, at Tassajara in 1998 with Norman Fisher, and has held many senior practice positions at all 3 San Francisco Zen Center temples. In 1998, she formed a meditation group in Vallejo, California, which eventually grew to become Clearwater Zendo, where she continues to serve as the head teacher. Clearwater offers a full schedule of daily meditation, Saturday program, discussion group, and classes. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. I'm debating my glasses reflect the screen, I think, but oh well. Oh, I had an idea about what to talk about, and then Donald Trump got so ill, and it's been very much on my mind. And he's, I mean, as I do this political work, he's always very much on my mind. It's a big motivator for me, and I imagine for many of you. And what I struggle with, what I work with, is not hating him. And not, I don't know, I'm not sure about, this is in my reading vocabulary, schadenfreude, you know, not taking pleasure in his suffering. You know, I've gotten plenty of texts and emails the last few days. Luckily from friends who don't practice Zen, I think, well, all of them, but, you know, saying things like, I hope he dies. And that troubles me. And I mean, I am pleased that my kind of physical reaction is to kind of, you know, cringe or to feel queasy. And it's true that I have, over these years, spent a lot of time making fun of him and hating on him. But it's kind of a koan, I think, of our times, how to respond as a bodhisattva, respond, as Meili says, you know, with a calm heart. And seeing him on what I think were probably staged videos, but without the orange makeup and more subdued, he was actually kind of likable. So I take this on as my koan. I don't feel good about hating on him. And I'm relieved, I guess, that, I take back the I guess part. I'm relieved that my emotional response right now is to feel kind of sorry for him. It's also true that I hope he lives. I hope he does fine in the long run. And there is a little part of me that thinks, yeah, but it wouldn't hurt if he got sicker and was out of the loop for a while. Maybe a few more senators, and then they wouldn't be able to do the Supreme Court. Hey. So I confess. I don't want to be somebody who wishes others ill. It's not useful for me to deny it. But confessing helps. And turning towards bodhisattvas that I appreciate helps. I've been thinking about bodhisattvas a lot in the last few months, trying to understand what I mean by them, or what we mean by bodhisattva. What does it mean when we say all beings, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas? All beings, great awakening, generous, selfless, egoless beings. Not I. And yet, it isn't those wonderful beings that Meli spoke of, about Avalokiteshvara. This is very small, but she's very beautiful. I don't know if you can see her. This was given to me by Lou Hartman, and she's, I think, ivory, but she's from his family, so it was long before anybody understood what a problem that was. Anyway, I am not Avalokiteshvara. I am not Manjushri. I am not Samantabhadra. So what am I as a bodhisattva? What are you? And it troubles me because it's so easy to say it glibly. We're all bodhisattvas. Sometimes we say we're bodhisattvas in training, or we say that we're baby bodhisattvas. But what does it mean to take that seriously? I mean, in a sense, it's our vow, isn't it? Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Some people say awaken with them. What in the world does that mean in my life? It means writing letters right now, for one thing. But what does it mean? And for me, these days, it means working on not hating. It means working on hating the actions of people I disagree with strongly, people of whom I am frightened, very frightened. But not hating them, and not hating them. And my great exemplars, let me back up one second. My friend Gyokoko Carlson, who is the retired co-founder of the Dharma Rain Zen Center in Portland, Oregon. I brought this up at a meeting I was at with her about what in the world is a bodhisattva, because I could give lots of lectures about it in different terms from what I'm talking about now, but it never has resonated with me. So what is it, this thing we say a bodhisattva has postponed their own entry into nirvana in order to stay in the world and save all beings? Okay, but I don't have the sense that I'm close to that kind of nirvana. Gyokoko said, I think of it as that spark, that there's a spark in each of us that is that, she didn't use this phrase, but is that way-seeking mind, is that vow to practice, is that intention to do no harm, is that intention to be useful. So that really resonated with me. I'm just wanting to make a clock so I can see it. That resonated with me. And my bodhisattva heroes at the moment are two people, John Lewis and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Lewis, in I think it was, there are two documentaries that are showing all the time, and I think it was Get in the Way. It might have been Good Trouble, I don't remember. But at any rate, he said, in every personality, there is something good, decent, sacred. In every personality, there's something good, decent, sacred. I think that's the spark. And we don't have a right to go around damaging another personality. We don't have a right going around damping down that spark. And that's a good, I resonate with that. No, that's hating the action, but not the person. And there's no good reason to engage in personal vilification. He also said, I couldn't any longer go along. He was talking about the sit-ins at lunch counters, which were, I think, in terms of the big public events, movements of the civil rights era, that may have been among the first, the college students going and sitting in at lunch counters. And he, of course, was involved with that. And he explained himself this way. He said, I couldn't any longer go along with an oppressive system and keep loving the people who denied me service. I couldn't love them if I kept going along with their oppression of me. So, as he said in another context, I got in the way. But what an example of non-hatred. I couldn't love them. And he doesn't mean like them, and he certainly doesn't mean saying yes, boss. I couldn't any longer go away with an oppressive system and keep loving the people who denied me service. And that's what our political action today and whatever else you're doing that's what it is, I think. It's not going along with an oppressive system. It's seeing the problems and responding. Meli referred to Avalokiteshvara as responding instinctively. We say that enlightenment is an appropriate response. Well, I think these letters are an appropriate response. But I keep asking myself, and this is my practice, I keep asking myself, with what heart do I do it? With what mind do I do it? Am I doing it from ill will? Yes, to some extent I am. And I'm doing it I hate sounding sappy, but I'm going to sound sappy. I'm doing it from love. I love this country. I think today I'm going to write in the letters that I do something about that this country belongs to all of us, and the way we claim it is by voting. And part of me wants to say, and I beg you to vote. I'm not going to say that. Because if I got that letter, it would really put me off. But that's what I feel like doing. And I think that is coming from the not calm mind. It's not the response of a bodhisattva, right? Because the bodhisattva, this is another image of a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva joins people where they are. I think it was Avalokiteshvara was rumored to have spent a practice period among the brothels in the city. And he was coming back to the group, and Manjushri was about to use his sword and cut his head off. And Buddha said, no, that's bodhisattva practice too. We have to meet people where they are. So I don't get to say, I beg you to vote, much as I'd love to. John Lewis seems to me somebody who really practiced not hating. And it's one of the many reasons he was left as he was. He also said, what's common wisdom, but hard and not always easy to remember. But he said, that hating is too heavy a burden. Lay it down. Maybe I should put that on my refrigerator. Hating is too heavy a burden. Lay it down. The best I can do is confess it and feel what it feels like in my gut when I do engage in it. It doesn't feel good. And I can not indulge in it. I can, when I notice that I am indulging in it, I can stop. Another great bodhisattva teacher, Linda Ruth Cutts, gave a lecture once about speaking of others' faults, sometimes called gossiping. And she said, it's wicked fun. And that was like 25 years ago, I guess, something like that. And it's really stuck with me. Wicked fun. It is. It's wicked fun. It's not useful. It's harmful. And it's too heavy a burden. Lay it down. We don't have to do this work out of hatred. And we have to do this work. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she really did seem to have bodhisattva-like equanimity. She reached out to other colleagues. I mean, we all know she was great friends with Scalia, and they used to go to the opera together and so on. But when she was on the Court of Appeals, she was known as somebody who reached out to colleagues and tried to build consensus and so on. And she seems to have been really loved by her colleagues on the Supreme Court, and not just the liberal wing. But her bodhisattva-ness was particularly captured, I think, by this. A reporter asked her how she would like to be remembered, and this is what she said. As someone who used whatever talent she had to do her work to the very best of her ability, and to help repair tears in her society, to make things a little better through the use of whatever ability she has. It's completely about an offering. Is that what a bodhisattva does? It's an offering. It's not about somebody who made law review, though she was, I think, top in her class. She probably was on the law review. But she's not talking about getting stars. She's talking about being useful, it seems to me. Used whatever talent she had to the very best of her ability, to do her work to the very best of her ability, and to help repair tears in her society, to make things a little better through the use of whatever ability she has. How about that? And to notice, she says, to help repair tears. So it seems to me I infer that she means and understands that she's not alone. She doesn't do this work all by herself. I do this work. I write letters, I poll watch, and so on. Because you do. And because many others do. And I don't know if this is a part of a definition of a bodhisattva, but there's something for me about Sangha, about being part of Sangha and relying on Sangha and taking my place within this larger whole, that I both give and receive support. And that's how I can do what I do. Even when I don't see you, I know that you are writing letters and writing postcards and making phone calls and so on. And that encourages me. That I feel like my experience is that I'm part of a larger whole. And that's very encouraging to me. And something that's not in the usual definitions of a bodhisattva, I think it should be. I say it is. You can argue with me or agree with me or whatever you want. I mean, you see it in teaching stories and koans and so on, but I've never heard about it in terms of Avalokiteshvara or Manjushri or Samantabhadra or Jizo for that matter. But at any rate, I think there needs to be a sense of humor. That if we can't laugh at ourselves and laugh at the world as we find it, then trying to think of another way of saying this that isn't quite so absolute, but I just failed, so I'll say it. Then we're lost. For me, anyway, I have to be able to laugh. And when I am engaged in hating or feeling afraid, if I follow it through, internally, if I follow it through to the end, it usually winds up some variation about, what about me? What about me? What's going to happen to me? And it's bound up in self-clinging. And then I laugh. So I think bodhisattvas have to laugh, have to be able to laugh. At least us vast archetypal bodhisattvas, aspirational bodhisattvas, like Avalokiteshvara. So I just think we need to find whatever spark we can, whatever inspiration we can, and just keep practicing with our political activity, and just keep turning the light inward to illuminate the self, and noticing the dark spots that get illuminated, the hatred, the fear, the anger. And keep on writing letters and doing what needs to be done. Keep on being useful. Just keep an eye on this self-involved mind at the same time. So I want to take questions, but I just want to say thank you to all of you. I feel so very supported by you, and very supportive of you. And your generosity is boundless. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mary. I'm glad you addressed the issue